Welcome to the Zenaida Moya Show. It's been brought to you through the courtesy of Zitra International, Moya Shepherd and Company Limited, and Nortevision. Tonight is going to be very exciting, informative, educational, and I'm sure empowering. We will be having a very candid discussion about a topic that is very dear to some individuals. It's a topic that regards what persons may or may not know, the 7th Amendment. There was a proposed 7th Amendment. This amendment was to Section 55, subsection 1, and Section 63, subsection 1 of the Constitution of Belize. This was to allow dual citizenship holders, persons who have more than one citizenship, to be able to stand for general or what we call national elections in Belize, whichever. We have in studio Mr. Patrick Menzies and Dr. Glenn Errington, and we will have joining us from the United States of America. They'll be calling in tonight, 2 advocates, staunch advocates from the Belize diaspora, Messrs. Joseph Guerrero and Hubert Pipersberg. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, a little background of our guests. Professor Patrick Menzies, I'm going to start with him tonight, has been the president of particular NGOs, Bellicourt Volunteer Organization, and Belize CAN, Council for Belizeans Abroad in Houston, Texas, and Belize since 2010, in which he has established and developed a national level patriotic program. And since 2008, he has been the president of Patriotism at Work International, also based in Houston, Texas, where he has overseen the acquisition of donated goods and services to needy countries. Patrick has also been a Foreign Service Officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, where he developed and coordinated the diaspora program for this country of Belize. As you very well know, because Patrick has been on the show before, as well, of course, Dr. Errington, Patrick is a pastor and a retired U.S. Army recruiter, bilingual instructor, and aviation operations specialist. He holds a master's in business administration, a bachelor, and an associate degree, all from universities in Texas. So again, welcome, Patrick.
Thank you.
Now, we have again, no stranger to the Zenaida Moya Show, Dr. Glenn Errington. Dr. Glenn has been a medical doctor in the USA for over 25 years. And on September 17, 2009, he received the Order of Distinction from the government of Belize. 2 of these individuals are my very good friends, and I'm very pleased that they're here to join us tonight. Now, we will have calling in these 2 individuals, Mr. Joseph Guerrero. Mr. Guerrero is a licensed practical nurse who is a passionate advocate for the rights of Belize, of born Belizeans and indigenous people's rights. I'll want the technicians to be able to show their photos as well, no? And then Mr. Guerrero is the founder of Belizean Society of Composers, Authors, Publishers, which is Belize's only music society with international affiliation worldwide. He sits on the board of this Belizean Society of Composers, Authors, Publishers as a music publisher representative. All right, so technicians, can you please show Mr. Guerrero's photo so people know who they will be hearing from? We also have with us Mr. Hubert Pipersberg. He also will be calling in. He's a policy analyst for the city of Los Angeles and has a master's in public administration from the University of Southern California. He resides in the United States and have done so for over 35 years and is a staunch advocate for the amendment of Section 58.1, this particular amendment, and Section 63.1, and I'll go further to say he has aspirations to one day be able to contest elected office in Belize and hopes to do so by not renouncing his U.S. citizenship. So that's Mr. Hubert Pipersberg. He'll also be calling in. Now, as is usual, there's a call-in segment that starts at 9 o'clock sharp. Should you wish to call in and give your comments or ask questions to any of the guests, call 302-2170. You'll also be able to message us on the Zenaida Moya Facebook page or the Zenaida Moya YouTube channel via your smartphone or computer. Now, a little background to this particular issue. In 2008, there was a move afoot to amend Belize's constitution, all right? It was dubbed the Seventh Amendment Act, okay? It was gazetted in 2009. It was a bill for an act to amend the Belize Constitution, Chapter 4 of the Laws of Belize, Revised Edition 2000-2003. In it, that was when it was to remove the Privy Council as the final appellate court for Belize and to replace it with the Caribbean Court of Justice. Okay? I believe that went through. That was fine. A second part of that particular proposed amendment was to remove the dual citizenship disqualification for membership of the House of Representatives or the Senate. This is what is in contention. It didn't pass. It did not pass. It was tabled, but it was struck down. It didn't go through. Another part of that particular Seventh Amendment was, of course, to provide for the appointment of the Attorney General, irrespective of membership of either House of National Assembly, or to provide for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. That went through, and we were able to have an Attorney General that necessarily did not come from the House of National Assembly, was not elected. Now, as I mentioned, this particular section is what we'll be discussing now. The section that states to remove the dual citizenship disqualification for membership of the House of Representatives or the Senator. There was a move to place immediately after the words foreign power state the words which does not recognize the independence, sovereignty, or territorial integrity of Belize. That would have been done both for Section 58, subsection 1, and Section 63, subsection 1. So it would have been for an elected member of the House and for a senator. Now, this would have in effect allowed dual citizenship holders, so they're not only Belizean citizens, they hold another passport, such as those from the USA and elsewhere, to be able to contest national elections or be appointed senators while not giving up their other citizenship. The only ones who would have been affected would have been countries that do not recognize independence, sovereignty, or territorial integrity of Belize. So there was a move to say, okay, well, we can leave all the other countries, but we will only stop persons who has dual citizenship, let's say from Guatemala, because as far as I know, That's the only country that does not recognize the independence, sovereignty, or territorial integrity of Belize. So they would have been the only one. Now, Mr. Pipersburg, he'll be calling in, and he has said the sticking point for them is the renouncement provision in the law that he says only applies to natural-born Belizeans. So I will continue, and I will ask Messrs. Joseph Guerrero and Hubert Pipersburg to call in at any time. But in the meantime, I will proceed with some of my questions, no? Now, I stated that, Patrick, but I know you have been one of the persons who's quite knowledgeable about this particular proposed amendment. So I'd like you to give us any further background as it regards this amendment, and I want to hear your views on the proposed amendment as well. Mr. Menzies is also a Belizean American, so it's very nice to hear from him as well, no?
Right. Well, thank you so much, and greetings to all out there. My voice is a little not there, but I would like to share some things.
Okay. Yes? Who am I speaking with? This is
Hi,
Zenaida.
Guerrero here.
Yes, Joseph. Did you want to say something right now, or you'll hold on and hear from Patrick? Either one. Did you want to give us your...
Yeah, we
your
can,
background?
I can wait until Patrick talks. That's fine. And I'll listen and hear what everyone has to say.
Sure.
Okay. Yes. Actually, this Seventh Amendment is dear to my heart. The way how I got involved, even in the government of Belize, was because of the Seventh Amendment. I actually had gone back to the U.S. I just brought some stuff down in the end of 2008, January of 2009 actually, and went back to finish teaching at DeVry University. And I was on the phone talking to my cousin in Chicago, and she said, guess what? Belize is trying to pass an amendment, and people are opposing it, and it's the Seventh Amendment. You have to do it Belize and being able to vote. And so I really think you should come. It was Chicago Day in the Park. Chicago Day in the Park 2009. So I actually spoke there in Chicago, and Minister Ellington spoke either before or right after me. So that's why I met Minister Ellington for the first time. Okay. And then I came back to Belize and we met again. But so this is really connected to my being in Belize
Yes.
to a certain extent. I really support the idea of the Seventh Amendment, but with conditions. And why do I say with conditions? I actually left Belize when I was 17 years old. And I came back to Belize umpteen years later, put it that way.
Yes.
All right? So I'm back in Belize in my 40s, and I left here at 17. I thank God for the guys at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs who educated me and brought me into the reality of what it means to be a Belizean now. Because a Belizean now, it's not the same thing as what it was back then. And so, although I support, and the reason I support the Seventh Amendment, or supported it, is because I think it is ludicrous. The PM said that. The PM said something like that, man, this is crazy, something, I forget the exact words he used, and I agree with the PM. It is completely ridiculous that you can have someone from another country come here with being born and raised in Hong Kong, or whatever country, or Taiwan, come here, and in 1 year, they get their citizenship. They can even, it doesn't say the guy that bought his citizenship is exempt. So you can buy your citizenship to Belize, and you can, within a year, be the PM. That is completely ridiculous. It is ludicrous. It is insane. And that is our law right now. And I think it's insane. However, the background of why folks abroad wants this is to be able to be in power, I believe, and I support that also. But I only support it with conditions. And the conditions are, and again, it's negotiable, but I believe the conditions should be something like must have been living, residing, not with having an address, but physically resided in Belize at least 36 months of the previous 60 months prior to election. If you have been here for 3 years, does not have to be consecutive, but 3 years of the previous 5 years, I believe you have an idea of what the regular Joe is feeling on the street. And how can you, if you don't know, how can you defend the cause of a Belizean if you have not felt what he feels, if you don't understand where he's at? I did not. And I thank God for, and you can say, well, guess what? I visit Belize once a year, twice a year. That is not enough. I visit, you can visit anywhere. Visit Belize, I mean, the foreigners that come here, they don't know the real deal. They don't know what's happening. They're beautiful Belize, but if you only knew what's happening on the undercurrent.
Visiting is different from
it's
living.
It's a complete different thing. So to me, those conditions must be in place. However, I support that completely. And I believe conditions should be set. I don't mind. The PM can say, Mr. Menzies, can you help us? I will say, yes, sir. And I will be out there to help it. Because I believe that it's ridiculous the way it is right now. As a matter of fact, I want to inject something else. Our government, both red and blue, are as corrupt as it comes. And I'm telling you this, I'm telling you why. They both support Guatemalan citizenship, which is 1,000,000% illegal. Section 29 of the Constitution makes that illegal. So watch this. A Guatemalan can actually be our next prime minister. That is completely ridiculous.
Yes.
And the excuse now given by the guy who I used to respect, I won't give his name, he's a minister now. Not a voted-in minister, but one put in there. I won't give his name. But, you know, this guy gives the excuse, well, they renounced their citizenship. That's the most ridiculous thing. I met with a guy, I met with someone at the Guatemalan embassy. And he says, Mr. Menzies, it is a complete joke what you guys are doing. He said in Guatemala, our Constitution does not permit a Guatemalan to give up their citizenship. So what the ministers are telling you is a bunch of hocus pocus trash. They're lying and trying to fool you. No Guatemalan can lose their citizenship, period. He said the piece of paper that they signed isn't even worth the ink that's wasted on it.
One of my friends told me the same thing. He is dual citizenship. Joseph, is there anything you would like to add as it regards the background of the amendment and your views? I'd like to also hear from you directly. Share with us, yes.
I believe that we have Hubert also on the line, but in any event, Zenaida, okay, at the time, I think it was 2008, 2009, that the Prime Minister of Belize, the Right Honorable Dean Barrow, introduced Amendment 7, which would have granted the right for dual citizen Belizeans to actually hold office in Belize and to be able to serve in the Senate and to be able to serve in cabinet. Currently, dual citizen Belizeans, that is, people who are Belizeans first and then acquire another citizenship after the age of 18, are all precluded from serving in Belize as a representative or as a senator or in the cabinet of the of the nation. So the Prime Minister at the time with 7A made a very passionate speech, and probably one of the most passionate I've heard for giving born Belizeans, because basically the only ones affected by this law where you cannot serve with two citizenships are born Belizeans.
Exactly.
Because you have to be Belizean first,
Right.
and then acquire another citizenship after the age of 18. So only born Belizeans are affected. Anyone else, as Patrick was saying, can come to Belize with two citizenship and serve as our representative, as our prime minister. In fact, the one who wants to come and violently take over Belize and Guatemala, that clown, what's his name? Whatever his name is, I don't even want to know his name. But anyway, the president of Guatemala, if he comes to Belize and becomes a Belizean citizen, he is still a Guatemalan, he is a Belizean, and he can be our prime minister.
Yes, that's
But
right.
me, a born Belizean, I was born in Belize. I have two citizenship, cannot be the prime minister of the country where I was born, but someone not born in Belize who come to Belize can be my prime minister. That's a little twisted. And I think that we as a nation need to correct this. Now, there are lots of people on the other side with some arguments about serving two masters or whatever, and so on and so forth.
Having
and they
your
come with
cake
some
and
other
eat it
arguments
too.
about give up one citizenship and what have you. It's a bit deeper than that. It's not as simple as they put it. Because, number one, many of us Belizeans who are here in the United States, the diaspora, we are mainly the ones affected. We work many years for benefits that we can then go home and retire, etc. And to give up our citizenship in these other nations where we have acquired so much wealth and we come bring it back home, we would lose all those benefits, all those earnings that we had that would take us into the latter parts of our lives. And Belize is actually asking us, the born Belizean, and remember, I'm talking about born Belizean, so it's not only us out here, it's you who are home. You didn't leave home yet. You don't have another citizenship, but it still affects you. The minute you leave home and try to acquire another citizenship somewhere, you're out. That's it. You can no longer serve in your own country's government. But anyone who was born in the country to where you are going may come to Belize, keep two citizenship, keep all the benefits of their original nation in Belize, and still be our prime minister. I would just like for someone to make this make sense to me.
Joseph, some persons will argue that you want to have your cake and eat it too. You want to live the American dream and yet be able, after you've lived the American dream, come to Belize and contest national elections without having to live and experience what the born and bred Belizeans who have stayed in Belize have done all their lives, who have lived extended period of time in Belize, like most standard bearers and era reps and those who have aspired for national office have done. So what do you have to say about that? I mean, you just said it just now. You don't want to give up your, you don't want to give that up at all, but some of us, and I'll also say myself, because yes, I did both my degrees in the USA, and I was offered jobs both times to stay in the USA, and I refused to stay in the USA simply because I have a strong love for Belize, and it's like I don't want to give it up and have that brain drain. I want to come back to Belize and help in the economic prosperity of Belize, but I want to do it here. I want to do it here, so if it means that I'm giving up some stuff, I'm going to do it here amongst my Belizean, born and bred Belizeans. So what do you have to say about that?
Okay, very good point. Now, that argument has been made as well, and I've seen that argument as well, and this is what I have to say in response to it. There are actually two issues that you spoke about in that question. Number one is that in terms of living there, going through Belize, and know what they are going through, I think Patrick touched on that, and that's another issue that I think most countries have in terms of residency prior to running for an election, no?
Yes.
So I think that that's something that in terms of that part of the question, that's something that I think the society can discuss and debate and come to some kind of agreement. Right now, I think the current residency standard is, about a year. I don't know, Patrick may know better than me.
Yes, yes.
Also, by the way, just a quick note, Hubert is trying to call in and he's getting a busy signal.
Okay, all right. It's because you're on the line. So go right ahead, Joseph. I want to hear.
Very good. Okay, so now regarding the other part of your question about it being the country and you want to go back, et cetera, so on. Okay, fine. But okay, you go back earlier than maybe most. and the question in terms of having your cake and eating it too. Let's just deal with that directly. And to that, I would say this. We allow anyone, any other immigrant, to come to Belize to have their cake and to eat it too. My question in answering that question, and to those people who believe you should not have your cake and eat it too, are they seeing two different kinds of dual citizens? Are they seeing the white Canadians who are having their cake and eating it? Are they seeing the Taiwanese, the Hong Kongese who came to Belize, back in like the 90s or whatever? Are they seeing those people having their cakes and eat it too? Are they seeing those people getting assistance from their government to succeed in Belize? But yet in Belize, when we talk about our own, we want to limit them. Oh, we don't want them to do this. We don't want them to do that. However, in the same breath, if you go around the corner, you see many Asians who come to Belize, have their cakes, and eat it too. Yet the standard for our own, for our neighbor, for the people who used to go jump and bathe in the river, for the people who used to go and climb mango trees, and believe me, I was a pretty good climber. All of us, we get a different standard. And I'm wondering why. It's like going to the airport when the strangers, the people who visit our countries, who are the drug dealers or who have drugs, they go scot-free. Nobody suspects them of a thing. But the moment they get a Belizean come in, the Belizean has to be put through the ringer. And my question would be, why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we deny ourselves what we give people who come to Belize and get wealthy, having their cakes and eat it too? Why then deny ourselves?
The thing is, Joseph, is that those people have chosen to leave their countries to come and live in Belize. They have chosen to leave their country and come and make Belize their home. You have done the opposite. You have done the opposite. So that's the thing. But I know Hubert is trying to get in, so I'd also want to hear from Hubert as well, to be fair to Hubert. And then you can always call in. So let's hear from Hubert. I want to hear from Hubert.
Can I
finish up what you want to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, can I suggest? Let me take a break. Let me try and get Hubert on a three-way call, and that way both of us can be on simultaneously.
Okay, Joseph, while you're doing that, I would like to address that issue too.
Yes.
And I like to address it because I agree with Joseph. I believe that how can we tell a Belizean that you, because you want to keep what you acquired abroad, you are wrong. But we let the foreigner come here and keep what he acquired abroad. I think that is ludicrous. I mean, there's nothing more ridiculous in my mind than that. We allow Mr. Taiwan guy, Mr. Canadian, Mr. even Guatemala, which is illegal, but we allow these people to be able to, as a matter of fact, you got a guy right here in Orange Rock from Guatemala that ran. Interesting. And anyway, we allowed them to be able to have their cake and eat it too. And I think that makes absolutely no sense. Anything you look at, even the Bible talks about, the engrafted seed, and the natural seed. If you're a born Belizean, you are the natural seed. You are the natural seed. The engrafted seed is the guy that got the citizenship after he came to this country. So you're a natural seed. You are closer to the umbilical cord. You have
Patrick, and that's all good. You've born here and all that. But you have chosen to live, I think in some instances, over 35 years.
Right.
So what is it, Joseph, until Hubert can come in, that you propose that could be a more compromised manner that we can go about this? I mean, to make it be more palatable. Because, like I told you, ROPA allows, the Representation of the People's Act would allow, it's a year, for one to be able to come in and be domiciled. Yes, is this,
This is Hubert.
yes, Hubert. Go ahead, let me just finish my thought quickly.
Okay, sure.
Yes, because I want your input. in the terms of the Representation of the People's Act, it allows persons a year to be able to be domiciled and then be able to vote. Okay? Now, that has been a contention for many because it is said, well, these people, these individuals, Belizean or not, they don't know what persons living here are going through to be able to come in and make decisions on our behalf. And that's how we look at it, on our behalf, because we're the ones living in Belize. So, in terms of what possible compromise, is it then that you would, I mean, the Belizeans, and we're going to hear from them because they'll be able to call in at 9 o'clock. 1 year, do you think 1 year is sufficient? How, you've been abroad, I believe, for 35 years, right? You've been living in the U.S. for 35 years. Do you feel that persons will be able to get to know you within 1 year and be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to support Hubert Pipersburg over, let's say, I don't know, whoever other Belizean who may have lived all their lives here. Do you think that is something that is possible? I mean, I would like to hear from you simply because if that is what you're looking at, you have to be practical and see whether or not it's something that the Belizean people would support. Versus, for example, let's say that you have been, Patrick proposed 3 years minimum out of the preceding 5 years. You understand? Something like that. What's your thoughts on it? What is it that you feel would the Belizean people, you would want to propose to the Belizean people, or is it that you feel that no, just go ahead and have the section be amended, it doesn't matter if it's a year or 6 months, we should be able to get this?
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing me on, and I want to also thank the Belizean audience for listening, and also want to thank Patrick Menzies, a brother I've never met. We've interacted on Facebook. And I also want to thank Dr. Elmerton. I've never met him, the gentleman, as well. Thank you guys very much for sharing the podium tonight with us, or the stage, if you will. First off, let me just say that there's so many ambiguities involved with this particular issue as it relates to Section 631 and Section 58.1. You know, there's a lot of you know, anecdotal references and you know, and innuendos that are not very accurate. That instead of lending to the discourse, it kind of makes the discourse a little bit more muddy. It muddies the waters. I'm going to go through some of the concerns that you preface, you know, while you were asking me the question, and see if I can maybe address them, you know, one at a time. Okay, it's a misnomer in Belizean society that we don't make allowances for dual citizenship, for dual citizens, which is not true, because you know, the Constitution does provide through these 63 and 58, you know, provide for and make allowances for dual national. So you know that's a given. But how can you make allowances for, provide for, and turn around and discriminate against a dual national? That's where you know that is where the inconsistency in the law comes in, because you're saying, okay, fine, it's okay, I'm going to allow people that hold two nationalities, Belizean and another one, to run for high office, but I'm only going, that's only reserved for those others. But if you are natural born Belizean, I will discriminate against you, only you. That distinction is only held just for natural born Belizean, for no one else. So therein lies the conundrum for a lot of people. And let me just correct something also too. I have no desire to run for high office. I have no, it's not in my, I don't know where you get that information from.
Hubert,
you know,
man, on Facebook, if Facebook if I could show you all this stuff, man, don't.
But I know, but people assume because you're a passionate advocate for for a particular thing that somehow that you want to do it personally. No, I just
Well,
think
there have
that
been
the law
Facebook
is-
discussions with you in it that you have never, I mean,
Never.
it has been
No, I mean,
discussed.
but
But anyway, the point is that's not the issue. But the
let
issue,
me get back
you
to
have
the
to be
point I'm
upfront
making,
here. You have to be
Okay.
upfront.
All right. So the thing about it is, okay, so there's that issue where you make allowances and then you discriminate against the dual national. Okay, one of the biggest things I've heard that people say is, okay, well, gee, you're a Christian, your allegiance. And I'm saying, okay, fine. Yes, I have, beyond my 18th birthday, became an American citizen. So yes, I have pledged allegiance to a foreign to a foreign power. We're not denying that. However, if you look at the Governor General, which is the highest office by protocol in the land of Belize, he also pledged allegiance to a foreign power. The Queen and her heirs. Policemen also make that pledge of allegiance. So does the BDF and those. So the point I'm making is that, to question an allegiance just because, you want to have a singular reason for discrimination, to me shows the narrow-mindedness of what we're dealing with. Same thing with S53. If you're only targeting a particular group or a particular segment of your population, that's discrimination, and it should be unconstitutional. I mean, there's no question about it. If you're just going to say, well, okay, any other dual national who comes in from wherever, all their life they might have lived in Malaysia, China, or Pakistan, and 50 years old they come to Belize, and they want to live here, and they don't have to, and just because they were born, well, you can't help where you were born, but just because they acquired that citizenship before their 18th birthday, they are somehow exempted, they're not disqualified, they can conceivably be your prime minister. To me, that is something that needs to be addressed. And I'm not saying that we should bar all dual nationals, because I don't support that. I think that's not progressive. What I'm saying is, why are you taking your own born Belizean just because they acquired this citizenship beyond their 18th birthday, and you're turning around and telling them, dude, I can't help you here because you are like, what would you say? You want to have your cake and eat it too? You question your allegiance, and all the other sort of things, all the other things that goes along with that. But then you're not doing it for those nationals that because you said, oh well, they want to come live in Belize. Well, the ROPA requirement is only 1 year. 1 year. It doesn't take 3 years. So you don't have to change the law again if you want to make it 3 years for. Like Patrick was saying, I said he said a 3-year provision. I don't have an issue with that also, but I'm saying the ROPA requirement is only a year.
No, vote, but that's to vote.
No, I think it's also for,
both.
if I'm not mistaken, it's also for, it's to run for high office if you're a foreign, if you come from outside the country, So, but I understand, you're right though, Ms. Moya, I'm not disagreeing with you that you must have a familiarity. You must be able to know the terrain. You must know the logistics of where you can't just come off the plane and expect to, that's inconceivable. You have to live in the you have to be domiciled for a certain amount of period, and so that people can get to know you, and people should be able to, find out what you stand for and that sort of thing, your values or principles, etc. So yeah, that's not a sticking point at all. That you need to be domiciled for X amount of period. But what the sticking point is to tell that person that because you went away, from as a child in some instances, and you decided that you wanted to, acquire another citizenship beyond your 18th birthday, that you are somehow disqualified or giving up the right to have any say in your belief politically. I think that's not progressive at all.
Okay. All right. So you wanted to say something, Dr. Enter? Okay.
You want me to say a few points? I see the matter a little bit differently, in the sense that I don't get caught up too much in all the traps, because it is a little bit complicated. So I try to just focus on what I think is important. I have always said that democracy itself, or when you ask every citizen above a certain age, whatever, or whoever qualifies, to go out and vote, that does not necessarily guarantee that the final vote will be the, quote, best option, end of quote. I mean, we could look at the elections around the world. We could go back to the days of Nazi Germany, and you see that people did vote in Adolf Hitler. Okay, so the fact that you win an election and you're popular does not mean that much. It's important, but you have the exceptions that are bad. In the same way, you could have laws that discriminate against the citizens. For example, this law, it's obvious from what everyone have been saying, that the general consensus across the board is that this law discriminates against
When you say that
Belizeans.
this was tabled, this went out, as a matter of fact, it was a big deal in the public, and the public did not support it. So what you're saying now is that is the opposite, because I'm telling you, the public did not support it. That is why they could not proceed
Yes, and
with amending it. So I'm
Okay,
just,
no, I followed it closely. No, I followed
the
it closely.
people did not support it.
Yeah.
Yes, I followed it closely. And it's just like you have all these issues that, let's say you look at offshore drilling, you look at the ICJ question, you look at amending any of these constitutions. Before it gets to the referendum stage, you might have vocal groups, small groups, that go out and just radically just rail and rail and rail. But like I said before, that does not necessarily mean that they are correct. It doesn't mean that that's the best option. So sometimes even the people who are trying to push these things don't educate people enough. We have had, and I'll repeat that, sometimes the people who are pushing these things do not do a very good job selling it.
Yes, I
Your
agree.
call is queued. Please hold.
I will-
Your call is queued. Please hold.
I will,
Let me say one more quick thing.
yes, because we have to go to ad.
Okay.
We should have already gone to an ad.
There's an issue we have had. For example, we had Nicholas Pallard, who was born not
So-
in Belize, and we had
Let
Shirley
us-
Brown. But
yeah,
these people
quickly.
had been fighting for Belize even though they weren't born here, and we had people that were born in Belize. That kind of hurt our country.
Okay, we're going to go to our first ad break, and when we come back, we'll take this call. All right? I believe it's probably Hubert calling back in.
The circle starts with solid support and a smile. This is real life. With its ups and its downs. This is going the extra mile. And the feeling you get when you can help someone along their journey. Through the twists and turns, we're here. This is Western Union, making sure your support reaches its destination. This is Western Union, moving money for better.
Buying or selling land can be a daunting experience. Don't leave things to chance. When buying or selling land in Belize, seek the professional real estate services of Moya Shepherd and Company Limited. Benefit from our extensive local and international network to find your dream home or to move your property from selling to sold. Our land consultancy services also include appraisals, conveyances, registrations, surveys, transfers, title searches, and the preparation of all other legal documentation and land transaction processes. We are located at 5 miles Philip Coulson Highway. Give us a call at 223-4465 or visit us at www.realestatebz.com.
Welcome back to the Zenaida Moya Show. I have in studio Dr. Glenn Ellington and Mr. Patrick Menzies, both Belizean Americans. And I have two advocates who are currently calling in from the United States of America, Mr. Hubert Pipersberg and Mr. Joseph Guerrero. So you guys can call in whenever. But Patrick, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I do, and I would like these guys to respond. I had this conversation.
Who is calling? Is this Hubert?
Hi, Guerrero again.
Oh, hi, Joseph. All right, Patrick wanted to say something, and he wanted you to hear it. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. I think I had this conversation with a couple of these guys before. When I did the research, and I don't have a copy of the U.S. law in front of me, but I have a partial part of it. or a part of it. It goes like this. There is no administrative presumption that U.S. nationals, and this is a translation of it, who hold policy-level positions in foreign governments necessarily intend to retain their U.S. nationality. Efforts are made to adjudicate fully such cases to determine the individual's intent. Certain policy-level positions are inherently incompatible with retaining U.S. nationality. Cases of this nature generally involve heads of state of foreign or foreign ministers. So, except with respect to these positions, the department will not typically consider employment in a policy-level position to lead to loss of nationality if the individual says that he or she did not intend to lose their U.S. nationality, and if the individual's actions were consistent with the retention of U.S. nationality, which means that they go back and forth to the U.S., they travel U.S. passport, and like that, or the like. So therefore, even if Belize changes its law and we adopt the concept of the Seventh Amendment, which I support with reservations, but even if we do that, Mr. John Doe, who lives in the U.S. diasporic or Britain or anywhere in the diasporic, does not qualify for prime minister nor foreign minister. He or she automatically, according to U.S. law, will lose their U.S. citizenship. Now, I was trying to pull this up, but I couldn't find it.
Interject here?
Go ahead, sir.
Sure. Go ahead, Joseph.
Okay. I'll give you a couple of examples. The current leader of Somalia is an American citizen. He was working for the state of New York until last month, I believe it was. He won the presidency, and he came in with a tide of change, and hopefully there will be a lot less corruption in Somalia. So he is a U.S. citizen. And before he became the president of Somalia, he had worked in the previous administration in a high political position.
Which is okay.
When he was fired by the president, the then president, the last president, he returned to his job here in the U.S. until he saw the time was good for him again to go back to Somalia, and he decided to run for president. So that's one example. Another example is one of the most revered leaders that Israel ever had, which was Golda Meir. Golda Meir was born in the United States, but Israel accepts all their citizens all over the world, dual citizenship, triple citizenship, and what have you, and they give and extend the entire everything that the government has to offer in terms of assistance to their citizens wherever they are. Now, let's come to, and by the way, there are other examples worldwide where the leadership, they are actually U.S. citizens. And then we come to our beloved Belize, who, in terms of the way that the last, the public consultations went with Amendment 7, which, by the way, I'm not sure that I accept it, but because that crowd was certainly a political crowd. You can see and look at the faces. You can go back, look at the videos, look at the faces. And we all know it was a political crowd playing the political game. So the public consultations, number one, they were definitely against granting born Belizeans this right that same crowd okays for Guatemalans. So, and at the time of that consultation, and I was listening the entire time. I was following that consultation. I was calling in on the radio stations to give my opinion about it. But it wasn't really well organized, I think, between the government and, say, the advocates that have come out since that consultation. So I think at some point there was a political play involved. But when we look at the results, basically, you're hurting me, you're hurting yourself back home because you're denying yourself the same rights that you're giving to people who can land from the plane tomorrow. Any Taiwanese can land on the plane tomorrow and have more rights than all the born Belizeans there right now. So basically, we are second-class citizens in the land where we were born because we give these rights to people who come to Belize that we don't give ourselves.
Joseph.
And I will keep...
Joseph,
Yes.
this person
Yes.
wrote in at the Zenaida Moya Show Facebook page, and he said, I believe if you really have Belize at heart, you won't mind renouncing your other nationality. You can serve two masters. If you have dual nationality and win, if things get hard, you can get up and leave. But if you only have a Belizean citizenship, you have to stay. And if for some reason you leave, it's easier to return instead of claiming refuge in another country.
But Zenaida, before Joseph responds to that, I would like to respond to that. Well, then if that's the case, then why don't we put the same restriction on somebody that was born abroad and have dual nationality? The dual nationality argument that the person just shared there is one-sided. They don't understand the issue. The issue is this. If I was born in Canada and I come to Belize and get a Belizean citizenship and I run and I mess up the country, I can go back to Canada. So then why can't the Belizean who was born here mess up and go back to the U.S.? So the argument makes no sense. But the reality to me is this. The Belizean that was born here.
Can Belizeans, I want to get this, any one of you, all of you are Belizean Americans, all of them. I'm the only born and bred Belizean. No. I stay here
Oh, that's different.
all my life.
Okay, born and bred means one thing.
Except the 2 times I went to
Good.
study abroad. So I want to say, and you made me lose my train of thought, Patrick, stop doing that. Because this person made a valid point, and I wanted to be able to say this, that Belizeans in general, they have concerns that I believe have been very valid. As this person, to dismiss this person and say, oh, well, it's a different thing, these individuals feel that, you know what? They are here in Belize. They haven't given up any part of Belize. They have hung in there, and times have not been easy, but they have stayed in Belize regardless. Some of you might say, well, maybe they couldn't go abroad. Who knows? We don't know. And if given the opportunity, they also would have gone abroad. That's a valid point, because I'm sure there may be some of those individuals. But to a great extent, there's many Belizeans that they simply refuse to go away. They don't mind visiting, but they will not go there to live. Now, this question, can a Belizean citizen who go to the U.S., like yourself, all of you, can you run for office
In the U.S.
and become the president?
You cannot become the president because you must be natural born.
Okay,
However, now watch this. Watch this now. I'm born in
That
Belize.
is their law.
Right.
That is their law.
Right.
So you can run for office, but you can't become the president.
Right. No. But by the way, Mr. Guerrero, one second. The stuff I shared comes from the U.S. state website, and it's a part of Section 101A22 of the Immigration Nationality Act.
And I'm going to open the line now for calls.
Is the U.S. law. So if they gave exceptions, that's because the U.S. of course can give an exception because they want to control these other countries. That's the reality on the ground. Okay, so it's great for them to make, but they are giving exception to the law. I shared the law. Can there be exceptions to the law? Yes, but this is the law. The law is that you cannot be the head of state and you cannot be the foreign minister.
Yes.
That's the law, and I'm reading it from the U.S. government website. But see what you shared what I'm saying is this. The person that wrote that on Facebook, they don't, I'm sorry, but they don't understand the argument. The argument is this. If you will say, then why don't the Belizean that was born abroad?
I'll take you off, and because the line is now open for others to be able to call in. You can always call back in. All right, bye-bye.
Okay, yeah. So to me, it is really ridiculous for us to tell the natural-born Belizean.
Everyone, you can call in. The number is there.
Right.
Good night, caller. You're on live.
Yes, good night.
Good night. And please turn your TV down. Yes, and I'll ask all callers to kindly turn your television or your computer volume.
Yes.
Can I finish with that?
I want to know how come we country are making so stupid. And the reason why, how you have two nationalities and live in a Belize. The next thing, Guatemala never signed to make Belize be independent, and the Constitution states they shouldn't be nationalized. Something wrong with women. Something wrong with the way they run this country and now. America, you have to be one American for run. And allow people with two nationalities to sit down for and talk show. To me, the nonsense. Right? I am born Belizean. And if I love my country, I don't want to give up my nationality and go somewhere and be something and come back home to retire and be American and Belizean. No, man. This is not right. This is not right. Something wrong with the Constitution and the complete government of Belize. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Okay. Again, I agree with the caller on the premise and the law that Guatemalans are not legally allowed citizenship. And I'll say this, many of my very good friends are Guatemalans. My best friends are Guatemalans.
Yes,
We're
sir.
not changing
You're on live. Go ahead, caller. No, don't turn it on. Yeah, don't turn it off. Just next time, caller, if you can kindly lower your television or your radio. Yes, go ahead. Is this Hubert or Joseph?
Hi, this is Joseph Guerrero again, Zenaida, but
Okay.
I wanted to really answer to the point regarding having to run away if the going gets tough, basically,
Yes.
was the question.
Yes.
Was the point that they made, correct?
Yes. That's the point that they wrote on the
Okay.
Facebook page. Yes.
Well, let me give an example. Again, I don't want us to get away or to forget the fact that we are only denying born Belizeans. I want to make that point again and again and again. With that, I'm going to say this. We have a very good example of people who can run away when the going gets tough. Right there in Belize, right now. And I am not picking on anybody, but let's look at the case of the issue with the passport scandal and Eric Chang having disappeared in Taiwan, even while he served in the city council. So, and Eric Chang is not a born Belizean. He is a Taiwanese with dual citizenship. And again, Belizeans are being so tough on each other. We are so hard against a born Belizean who look in the mirror and look like the person you're looking at in the mirror. And all these people, we just let them get away with things that we are denying ourselves. Now, with that, what I'm saying is nobody wants to run away if the going gets tough that I know of. But the point is that it's not only natural-born Belizeans who have dual citizenship who are, quote-unquote, able to fly or flight when the going gets tough.
And that's a fact,
One of the
Joseph.
current dual citizens right now in Belize politics, And I would like to give you an example of dual citizens in Belize politics right now. Dr. Lesbia Cocom Guerra or Guerra Cocom, Gregorio Papas, both PUPs, Ralph Huang, UDP, Denny Grijalva, UDP. They're all four of them are dual citizens. And there are others as well. Look at the fellow who has a Canadian citizenship and yet serves in a high position in the Ministry of Health, and I think he's a wonderful man. I have nothing against him. I have nothing against him serving. But what I am saying is we are, again, giving all these rights to people that we are denying ourselves. And what are we saying to one another? I am super Belizean because I stayed here and I did this and I did that. Well, let me tell the people something. I want to enlighten all of us about something. You back home were never, ever alone. People from out here in the diaspora were we always had your backs. Those barrels always came, and nowadays, a lot of barrels are still coming. I mean, I send stuff home all the time. I send money home all the time. We are here giving our remittances. We always had your backs at home. And I am saying that we should all act as one society and stop trying to pull down one another, because that's the only thing that these restrictive laws against born Belizeans does. That's my opinion about that.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. I want us to go to another ad break, and then we'll stay tuned for some more questions.
Be right back.
Buying or selling land can be a daunting experience. Don't leave things to chance. When buying or selling land in Belize, seek the professional real estate services of Moya Shepherd and Company Limited. Benefit from our extensive local and international network to find your dream home or to move your property from selling to sold. Our land consultancy services also include appraisals, conveyances, registrations, surveys, transfers, title searches, and the preparation of all other legal documentation and land transaction processes. We are located at 5 miles Philip Coulson Highway. Give us a call at 223-4465 or visit us at www.realestatebz.com.
The circle starts with solid support and a smile. This is real life. With its ups and its downs, this is going the extra mile. And the feeling you get when you can help someone along their journey. Through the twists and turns, we're here. This is Western Union, making sure your support reaches its destination. This is Western Union, moving money for better.
Welcome back to the Zenaida Moya Show. We have been talking about dual citizenship and the proposed amendments that some of those in the diaspora would want to ensure happen. We have already someone who is calling, so I'll say, go ahead, caller. You're on live.
Hi, it's Hubert. I called back because
Okay.
in any event, I was listening to what some of the callers were saying, and I listened to some of the comments that Patrick made, which are very valid comments regarding the issue of the dual nationals. I think what happened is, what's lost in the translation is that, look, there's nothing wrong if anybody wants to, in an era where corporations have difficulty staying within borders. And so the point I'm making is that there's nothing wrong if someone wants to migrate somewhere, or decide that, I want to, take my possessions of my body and go somewhere else. That seems to be, that's the way the world is. And most of us who go to the United States are economic refugees, but that doesn't mean because we go to the United States or any other part of the world means that we have is that in 1984, actually in 1981, when Belize got its independence, do you realize that all of us, Patrick, Mr. Ellington, we were all stripped of our Belizean citizenship. We were people without a country. Now, how could you turn around and do that to people? We were told because we were out of the country after, at the time of independence, you were not a Belizean, citizen anymore. You lost that right. It was only after 1984 and when Mr. Esquivel came in, when the hero, Philip Goldson, decided, you know what, this is wrong, it's not right, it should not stand, and he advocated for us to get back our citizenship. Unfortunately, the thing about it is that we still had that provision in the law that says if you acquire the citizenship beyond your 18th birthday, it still disqualifies you. So I'm saying we have gone through this thing from over and over, like Joseph was just saying about, we only seem to want to have this hatred, this animosity for your born brothers and sisters who, for all practical purposes, never ever wants to do anything that's going to harm Belize. And we come up with these nonsensical arguments about if things get hard, if things are run, or if there's a war in the United States. What are the odds of Belize even getting into a war with the United States? Belize can have a George seat, much as they getting a war with the United States. It's just ridiculous. The kind of innuendos that you hear that's based on no kind of common sense that people bring up just so that they can justify denying the born brother and sister just because he decided he wants to take on another nationality beyond his 18th birthday, in addition to the one that he was born with, that you become a pariah.
You know, Hubert, I'm going to tell you this. What I have seen, whenever a political party loses, those persons, particularly contract workers and all the different supporters who held high positions or who were getting whatever support through that political party that was in government, when that party loses and they have dual citizenship, you don't see them again. They're gone. You don't see them again until another election whereby they may come down and try to campaign for that party again. And if that party loses again, they're gone. You don't see them again. And I'm telling you, this happens. It's a known fact. And you see a lot of them taking up positions in government when in fact you will see Belizeans who have stayed here right through. Whether or not they've helped the party, they continue to help the party, they don't get those positions. It's those persons who may come abroad, come from whichever, the US or wherever, and they come and they take up positions. So it's not far-fetched. That is reality. That's reality.
Well, and I understand what you're saying, I'm not, hey, I totally agree with you. It seems intrinsically wrong, but I mean, there's nothing. Okay, see, you seem to be. I'm not sure I'm following. The argument that you're making. You seem to be arguing that if just because these people decide that these political, I call them lapdogs, because that's what they are. They decide because of their particular party. Then that means they weren't genuine from the beginning. Because if you're going to wait until because you're not in power anymore, because you can't suck from the Belize entity, as they say, and in the corrupt, in the corrupt environment that you were operating in, because that party is out of power and you cannot, get any, you're not a crony anymore, or nepotism is not working anymore, you run, then you know what? Even if that person could not run, I would not want that person around. Okay? Because that's not the kind of people you want to have around you who do. They don't have, anybody who does that, whether they leave Belize or not, or whether they say does not have the national economic security interests of the country at heart. So let's get that out there. So whether you run or not, if that's the kind of individual that you are, who's going to succumb to nepotism, who's going to succumb to cronyism, who's going to sing for your supper, who's going to do anything just because to keep themselves, in economic well-being with a particular party, who's a rabid partisan. Now, I don't want to be that kind of person. Should not be welcome anyway, because those kind of people, those are people who have the country in the condition that it is in the first place. So let's get that out there. So if you're going to hold it against it because they're rolling, as though some sort of, it's wrong because they go, well, let them run. All of them government and the economic retardation of that country. So
Well-
let's be clear on that.
My brother, I really disagree with you, and I disagree with what you're sharing.
Go ahead,
and I
Patrick.
disagree
No, no,
because,
here.
to me, and that's why I'm talking about the condition about 3 of the last 5 years. To me, if you look what Trump did in the U.S., I know many people don't like Trump, but that's your business, like him or not. I voted for him, so I can say that clear. But the thing is this: if I live in the U.S. and I come here and I'm here 3 of the previous 5 years from election, and I run, and I didn't make it. What I know, let's say I'm red or blue, which I'm not, but let's say I am red, and the blue happen to win. The blue will squeeze the living lights out of me for the next 5 years. So let's say I go back to the U.S., work for 2 years to build up my funds again, to have enough funds to come back and be here for 3 years again prior to election. I don't know what the problem is with that. I think I have the freedom to do what I want.
And that's exactly what I had mentioned before, that those individuals would be at a better advantage of the Belizeans that stay put, that won't have that advantage of you. So those persons who aspire for office, they won't have that opportunity to be going to the U.S., go back to
But
their
the Taiwanese do.
cushy jobs. I'm telling you, the average persons who aspire for office, men, women, whoever, they won't have that opportunity. They'll have to stay here, continue trying to do their community service, try to ensure they continue to be with the people, volunteer where they can, and ensure they do whatever it takes to live, survive, if you want to call it.
But see, that's not
So
the issue.
that's another different
But that's not the
topic,
issue.
and that's
The issue here is dual nationality. And the issue here is, so we are saying that we are putting a restriction on a natural born Belizean. But if I am Mr. Chang, or whatever the guy's name was, or Mr. Grijalva, who don't even qualify to start with, if I am him,
Eric Chan ran for
okay.
municipal office.
No.
So.
Which doesn't count. But I'm just getting example.
Yes.
Or I'm John Doe.
Yes.
And the bottom line is this. So you're telling me, if I was born in another country, and I decide that, and I buy my Belize citizenship, I can do that.
Yes.
But you don't want the natural born Belizeans to do that. I also want to challenge the guy that called in and said, you dual nationals shouldn't even be on a panel. Let me challenge you. Let me challenge all Belizeans out there. I am not the best guy on earth, meaning I've done everything in life. But what I want to share with you is this. I came to Belize when you had Minister PM Musa in power, and they killed these little girls in Belize City back in 1999, 2000, 2001. Prime Minister Musa made a statement, and I read it. He said, this is just what the world is about now. We have to live with it, something of that nature. So the guy that called in to talk about dual national stuff, I am a dual national. And I think I've done a lot more than most of you that are locally bred Belizeans on issues of interest to you. For example, my
No, but
kids.
Patrick, people wouldn't have an issue with you, you know.
No, I know that.
You have lived in Belize, you're
Since
known, you're
2010.
seen. How long have you been here?
Since 2010.
Since 2010, you're seen. I mean, you're not talking about persons like you are. I mean, even though you have your dual citizenship, and that is why before, I think I tried to say, okay, could there be a compromise?
I believe
Because
Okay.
we don't have anything against our Belizean brothers, Belizean American brothers and sisters. But you can't come here a year before
Yeah,
and
I
have
agree.
people know you.
I agree.
That's
I
the
agree.
thing.
I agree.
1 year.
I think it has to be.
Yes, go ahead.
Can
Go
I-
ahead,
can I-
Hubert. Yes, go ahead.
Can I come in for a second?
Sure.
Patrick? I'm glad that you made a clarification. You're right. The way you put it, I totally agree with that position that you made there, Patrick. That's 100% correct. Now, I think what happened is, see, let's say you have like somebody like Patrick, and I hate to use us as an example because like Patrick is talking about a law that's discriminatory. I mean, that's the bottom line. Yes, we can find all these rationales, but we find irrationale. We find issues for keeping a law that targets one set of individuals, that target one group, and that seems to be what we're doing. You know, we're finding excuses. Oh well, if you're on the buck, or your pledge allegiance. You know, we keep on finding impediments for why a natural-born Belizean that acquired a citizenship beyond their 18th birthday cannot hold high office or cannot run for high office. Oh, you mentioned compromise. What about the Senate? That's I've heard in Patrick. I don't know if you've heard this part here, but I've heard rumors have in certain circles where they would be willing to look at maybe Section 311 where the Senate, since it's not an elected body, to maybe bring the House for people that can maybe serve on the Senate. So there, we can have compromise. We can do this gradual. We don't have to do it. We can do it piecemeal. But the point is, we have to address it because it's wrong and it's not fair to hold something like this against your born Belizean just because they decide that they want to take up another nationality. That to me is where the issue is, that you're telling Belizean because how dare you go and knowingly beyond your 18th birthday acquire another nationality, and because you have done that, I'm going to penalize you. It's petty and it's very punitive. Just because you decide that you want to get another nationality beyond your birthright, you are being penalized and you're being ostracized because of that. And no other dual national in Belize as we speak today are under those impediments. Therefore, for me, it's wrong. It should be stricken from the book.
All right, thank you, Hubert. Let's open a line for others. Thank you. All right, just in case someone else wants to call in. Again, Doc, you had anything? I see you writing.
This is very interesting for me, actually. I just like to make a little correction on what somebody had called in and mentioned. I think sometimes in this discussion with the emotion and the energy, sometimes little errors are made.
Yes.
And somebody was talking about allegiance, the police officers, the BDF, and even the Governor General himself. And they said that they had to pledge allegiance to the Queen. Well, we are living in the middle of the information age. It's very easy for you to have your computer open. I just put in head of state Belize, and it came up. 2 pictures came up. Elizabeth II, monarch, and Dean Barrow, prime minister. So it is proper that they pledge allegiance to the Queen. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. That's just a little housekeeping. Yes. No. I spend most of the time listening, like I said, because this is an emotive issue for many people. Mm-hmm. I don't see it that way. I focus on one point, and I think I have not been swayed off that point. The point is, if you are a born Belizean, and the way the law is right now, mm-hmm. it is discriminating against the born Belizean in ways that it does not discriminate against some other groups, mm-hmm. which are not even born Belizeans. So that means some little tweaking has to be done. I mean, there are the technical experts with the law, the lawyers, government officials, ministers, etc. But something needs to be done, and I guess that's why they were holding some of these hearings. Mm-hmm. As you write, the problem with when you discriminate in this way, then you get to where people are penalized, people are ostracized, you get into the issues with upmanship where I did more than you and you did more than me. All of those things which are important, economic injection, who bring this in, but I don't think those are the key facts. The key facts is if you will discriminate against a born Belizean,
yes,
but you won't do it against somebody else who is born outside, the same treatment. That has to be primary, and that has to be fixed before you even get too deep into the discussion. Mm-hmm. So I think that needs some homework. Yes, there were hearings. Yes, you could have very small vocal groups with partisan political agenda or other agendas. And if you don't have
as on both sides, you're going to have both sides.
Not even both. I mean,
no, both sides you will always have.
But but
one
to my
side.
Point, man.
What he was saying, if it was UDP who did it, you'd have the PUP.
You have to listen to my point.
You would do it.
My point had nothing to do with partisan
politics.
But
I'm also referring to him.
I know, but I am trying to present.
But go ahead.
Because I'm listening to stuff that is not correct. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to clear it up. I am looking on it like a global, in a sphere, up, down, right, left, back, front, all over, not two sides, not a line right and left. Now, you have to have wide appeal to the masses. You have to educate people so that they understand what the difficulty is. People must understand first and foremost that there is some discrimination involved.
Yes.
A lot of the stuff that we hear every day settles around issues of human rights. As somebody who came out of generations before me that had to go through slavery and things like that, I have a clear understanding in my head all the time about how this discrimination works. So you have to be looking for it. If you find it, you have to say, all right, let me sit down and fix it. So this issue, first and foremost, if you treat born Belizeans differently from people who come in otherwise and get citizenship, there's a problem. You
I
need to
agree.
fix that. And
I
that
agree.
is the overriding problem, regardless
Yes,
of
sir.
what anybody else is saying. So you have to deal with that. Now, I like to throw a monkey wrench in this. We had a Belizean leader who was sent home from England in 1957, you know, under the charge that he was betraying this country. And he was born here. He was leading. So there is no guarantee that because you're born here means anything. You could be born here and can't do the job.
And
Or you could be born here and being excellent at doing the
No,
job.
no, I want you
So
to.
I think
I want you to expound on that. You can't just say that
Uh-huh.
and have the people wonder, well, who is Dr. Harrington talking about, and so that people can understand in what are you talking about, what context, what was it?
Well, right here I have in my hand actually bring the document, the Belize Billboard from 9th March 1958. The headline article says, Prices committed heart, soul, and body to Guatemala. It says that Nicholas Anthony Pallard was expelled from the People's United Party for charging PUP leader George Cadle Price with intention to betray this country into the hands of Guatemala. It goes on to say that Honorable Dembe Jeffrey was expelled from the PUP for opposing Price's secret negotiations with the Guatemalan minister in London. So there is no guarantee that if you are born in this country that you're not going to hurt the country.
And what was Price in London doing? What was
He
what
was
did
supposed
he
to be,
say?
they had a financial and constitutional meetings to discuss funding for the colony.
Okay.
You know, every year they used to go up, they talk about funding, they talk about self-government, all of these issues they had to discuss.
Yes.
And while you have free time,
Yes.
the evenings, at night, etc., he was holding secret meetings with the Guatemalans. And he was caught at it. He was actually one of the guys said, this is not right.
Okay.
I can't sit here hearing all these proposals to turn this country over, to align ourselves politically with Guatemala. So Dembe Jeffrey, he said, I cannot take this. This is not right. And it's the same way how I'm sitting here and I'm saying that if a Belizean is born here, somebody who is born here, is treated, discriminated against, when you think about somebody who comes in, who can run, but the born Belizean can't run because he went to Canada. Those things need to be fixed, and it's just not right.
I want.
Well, can I address that for a quick second?
Go ahead.
What I think, again, going to what Glenn was talking about, to me, a very important, or the crux of the matter,
Yes.
is the fact that you mentioned about the born Belizean intending to betray the country. But we are discussing dual nationality. So let's look at this. Let's say I was born in Taiwan. Argument's sake. I come to Belize and I get Belizean nationality. I pay for it. I buy my nationality, you know. The law does not exempt the guy that bought the nationality. So I can buy myself into being the leader of this country. That is completely ludicrous,
Yes.
ridiculous. Now watch this now. Tell me who has the country at heart. The guy that was born here left and just came back 3 years ago, right? And then if he messes up the country, who is he going to mess up? His own family members. He has family members here. So, but you can't tell me that Mr. Ting Wang Wang or Mr. Canadian or whatever, he has nobody here. He just came. He bought his citizenship. It didn't work. He messed everything up and he left. And he has no reason. His navel string no barrier. Bottom line.
You know,
That's what I
Patrick,
see.
a lot of people don't support persons just being able to buy citizenship, you know,
I
economic
agree.
or not. So I just want
Good.
to
No, I-
nip that in the bud.
I
That's
agree.
not something
don't
that we
support it.
support, and we have been suffering for that.
Of course.
Because when things are happening as we speak, I have seen and I have heard, and persons have informed of how now with this situation, with this immigration scandal, how it's difficult when they have been turned back. And I'm not talking about no Trump thing. I'm talking about they go to Panama, they go to, not even the U.S., because we know U.S. is so strict.
Right.
But I'm talking about other countries that they indicate that they did not used to go through all that harassment. Even Taiwan, China, those particular countries, Japan, there was not a problem, at least according to these individuals. And there has been quite a discussion on Facebook as well. I say that because a lot of people will turn to that avenue, to be that social media, to be able to express what they're going through. And they have indicated they go to these different countries and they're being put through the mill. So I want to say that outright. So that's not supported.
Right.
Selling of our citizenship is not supported. And in the same light, a lot of Belizeans, of course, they have their views that, you go so long, you come back, to be able to just run for office is not. That's why I keep saying possibly it could be palatable if conditions.
Yes.
But we do not hear these advocates
Talking
really
about
talking about conditions.
You're right.
That's why
And that's
there's
why
a have your cake and eat it too.
And that's why Glenn's
we
statement,
don't hear.
and that's why Glenn's statement is important. I was there with the 7th Amendment stuff. I was there. It was not run properly. It wasn't run properly, period.
So if we'd hear something like that, I think it would be more palatable.
course.
Yes, caller, you're on live.
They were mentioned about nationality.
Yes.
To me, nationality is not free, because you have to pay paperwork. The next thing where I can understand between Belize and Guatemala, one ambassador to Guatemala, one ambassador to Belize when Guatemala no sign no treaty. What happened between Belize and where education there? I think we should have a situation that you use the border. If you want to go to Guatemala, and if they allow Belizeans to cross, give you a visa for go, well, then you okay. And if Guatemala want to come over this side, and they allow them to give them a visa to come, I think that should be the situation. But we should not have an ambassador to Guatemala, an ambassador from Guatemala to here.
Actually, I hear what you say, and we realize that they don't recognize us the way they should, that like other countries do. However, if you want to try to build a bridge, if you want to try and have a relation, it makes no sense to not have an ambassador in Guatemala or them not have one here. That is what allows us to operate in a more peaceful way and also trade and the like. So Guatemala is our neighbor, like it or not. And so we trade with Guatemala, big time. So I have no problem with having a Guatemalan ambassador here or them having, or us having one over there. To me, when you understand international law, you understand we need an ambassador. It's just very simple.
And I think that that's something that, we have Guatemalans that are living here that are now Belizeans. And we have some persons in the western part who may have family that are Guatemalans and so forth. I don't think the issue is to be fighting against Guatemala. I've always felt that with a country such as Guatemala, that is our neighbor, and I am of the belief that Belize is a sovereign country, so I can say neighbor. You understand? So we need to be working with those individuals. Hopefully there'll become a time when, they won't be the ones that the matter will be put to rest. We won't have that noose hanging around our necks that, oh, they want to claim Belize, or, you know, whatever treaty that they feel was not honored, that has to be honored, and so they want they want their pound of flesh. I am hoping the time will come one day, hopefully my lifetime, whereby we will see Guatemala and Belizeans working together. And that issue with ambassadorship, we do want ambassadorship as long as they respect. Now, there was a problem, remember, recently, whereby the foreign minister had an issue.
Right.
Again, that's dual nationality that we're talking about now.
But I do want to mention, though, the fact that Guatemala puts an ambassador in Belize, it recognizes that we are a sovereign country.
Yes.
Because he doesn't put an ambassador in Petén. He doesn't put one in La Ciudad de Guatemala. He puts one in Belize. God, give me a break.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes. So their actions have not complied with what they are in fact trying to push right now. So it's only a level of people. But I really wanna say that if we, the diaspora, and all of you have been a part of it, the issue has not been one whereby we don't like our brothers and sisters. I have family and friends there, and I always want what's best for them. I personally have chosen to remain here. That's my personal want. However, to learn from them, to gain from them, like I had asked you, what has the diaspora been able to contribute to Belize? And we know that they have also contributed financially to their families. Some of them, not all of them, because not all diasporan are well off that can even contribute. So don't even get the idea that everybody, as long as you go there, some of them, they need help. We're the ones who send help to you all in some instances. So let's put that there. It's not everybody that goes there. Oh, it's all wonderful.
Well, Z, I do want to mention, though, and I know it's not that, but I do want to put a little pin in there and just say that Belizeans abroad in diaspora, you know, I am the one that set up the diaspora desk, thanks to the government of Belize.
Good night, caller. You're on live.
Zenaida, it's me again. I wanted to just interject for a minute there.
Yes.
Am I on?
Yes, you are. You're on live.
Okay. What I was going to say is, you know, you were discussing just now about the Guatemala issue. You do realize, and I want Dr. Strington and Patrick to look at this also. You know, Section 29.3, Patrick.
Yes, I know.
And Dr. Elrington, you're familiar with that provision?
Very familiar. I fought it, and I opposed election when I was here. You even had the guess who was mad at me? The lady that's the what's her name? The wife of the head of the GSU at the time. What's her name? She's the
DPP.
DPP.
Vidal. Vidal. What's her name?
Vidal. She was in my list.
I forgot her
that
name.
I opposed them. I had to have them look at because of the fact that if you're a Guatemalan born, you don't qualify to actually vote because your citizenship is invalid. And again, I want to be very clear. I have very good friends that are Guatemalans. Matter of fact, some of my best friends are Guatemalans. I can depend on many Guatemalans in Belize before I can depend on natural-born Belizeans. So that's not the issue. The issue is our law. That's the issue.
Well, also the issue too is, Patrick, as I see it, is that, okay, Section 29.3, because of, the provision, because of them, not recognizing our sovereignty. Also, in the same law, right below, we have this thing about ministerial discretion. So it's at the discretion of the minister. So
no. I disagree. Please read it again, my brother. I fought this many times.
It says that they can become a citizen at the discretion of the minister. So in the same law where we define Guatemala, turn around and says, well, it's okay as long as the minister decides that he has that criteria. So check it out again, Patrick.
I have read it. I have read it many times, my brother. The ministerial discretion there does not relate to that. It goes back and tells you what the discretion is. And you have to go back to the other section. Please, go back to the other section and understand the discretion has nothing to do with making an exemption for a Guatemalan born. It's not there. I have spoken on this issue for years. I'm telling you, I've studied it. But
All right, I will defer to your expertise in that area.
Yes, yes.
I'm not going to argue with you with that. It's interpretation right there. But besides that, the point, the fact is that, and I'm not going to pick on Guatemalans and because, I hate Guatemalans or whatever.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that we have this, we're discussing dual national, and I just happen to pick them out because of the fact of the claim. But the point is, we have this duality as it relates to dual national. And it's discrimination. I don't care how you want to look at it, how you want to describe it. It's discriminatory for you to take one group, a group that's not asking anything, a group that adds to the mix. I mean, Joseph had mentioned something about remittance. And I hate to bring up remittance, but, I think in the last budget they said it was almost like 10% of GDP. So, I mean, the point I'm making is that, Belizean does contribute economically to this country. And if they didn't think that was important, the IMF and the World Bank and other agencies would have kept this stats of how much the Mexicans that live in the United States contribute to Mexico, Guatemala, etc., or whatever, all the other immigrants that live in those other countries, how much they contribute in terms of remittance to the economy of those countries. So, I mean, these are the things that we continue this disregard when we look at this issue because we want to have a rationale, we want to have a reason to continue to discriminate. And it's discrimination. Any way you look at it, any way you slice it, as Darrington and said it eloquently, it's a discriminatory attack. And you can't, there's no getting around it, Zenaida, I'm sorry. We can free it with all the pretty law, legal speak here or there. The fact of the matter is you consciously and openly and blatantly decide that because your natural-born brothers and sisters acquired another citizenship beyond their 18th birthday, you're going to punitively deal with them by saying, oh, no, I'm going to hold this against you. This impediment is that you cannot do it unless you renounce A, B, C, or D. To me, that's wrong.
Well, on remittances, I would like to add something very, very important. Check this one out. On remittances, now, the guy who came here from Taiwan, before he came here, he sent no remittances. The guy who came here from Canada, before he came, he sent no remittances. The guy who came here from the UK sent nothing, but yet he's allowed to run. But the Belizean, who's been sending remittances, is not allowed. This thing is so ludicrous. You have to really be completely lost to accept it.
And then I will tell you though that you don't want to look at remittances and say, okay, that's yes, remittances are sent, but it also has been discussed widely, even in the newspapers, that whilst Belizeans have gone abroad and they get work and they send back their money, their children are here, unattended to, and they are really being menacing to the society because they don't have any mothers and fathers taking care of them. And so, and so it has been costing us, Belizeans, the Belizean government, which comprises of us. And so we don't want to get into that remittances because, no, that's just like when there have always been something whereby you hear the father go out, he makes money, he doesn't have any time for his children. The poor child grows up, doesn't have a father who actually takes time to father him properly, and that child turns out to be bad. But he said, oh, well, I'm contributing financially to your welfare. No, man, you have caused a disservice. You were not here to contribute to that emotional and physical stability of that child. So don't go the route of remittances because we can turn it around. But this is something I keep saying about a compromise, and I don't hear you saying anything. I mean, you have been one of the proponents and advocating for this. I mean, now it's your opportunity to say, I mean, have you looked at it that, okay, yes, the public, there was an outcry, they didn't support it. If you were to do it differently, what would be the appeal to the public to say, okay then, how if this? Because I understand what you're saying, and that's if you understand. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But in the event you understand what the public and why they were saying what they were saying, is there anything that you would want to propose differently? Other than say, okay, well, maybe, I think it was Patrick Faber at the time who was leading the,
Yes, he was.
the countrywide consultations, and I believe it was you guys who were saying, well, maybe he didn't present it well, or however, whatever is the case. The point is there anything that you would propose at this point or try to do differently that maybe it may make it more palatable?
Yes.
I think, let me just say, like in most public policy issues that faith believes in, it always get relegated to those ones that are of national importance. It always seems to somehow get relegated between partisan divide, and then it loses the essence of what should be a non-partisan that should transcend partisanship. I mean, that's what I think occurred with the last debate, where you had some people from the opposition hierarchy, some people from the government, who supported it, some who didn't, and then it boiled down to, okay, well, it's a UDP thing versus, and so what I would like to look at is if I had an opportunity to have done it back then, I would present it as something that's good for the national economic security interest of this country. That's where you're trying to put the unification of Belizeans. Not, instead of pitted one against the other, trying to be backbiting and hateful against each other. Say, look, how can we bring our brothers and sisters who don't reside at home base? How can we incorporate them in all levels of our society, not just philanthropically, as philanthropists or others, or doing other things, but how can we bring them in all aspects of Belizean lifestyle, which includes political as well. So, and I think that's something that we really need to present this issue as something that we're discussing the unification of the motherland between the diaspora and those based at home. We love each other. It's not about I look at you, what you're doing and what you're not doing. Look, we're talking about, and Patrick, you're a man of God, and we're talking about love, coming together and see how we can help our country to move forward to another level. And we believe in order for Belize to move forward economically, politically, spiritually, it must involve its diaspora.
Well said, Hubert. Well said, Hubert. I agree with you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask you to give your last comment. Your last comment.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you. It's a very, very, very timely and wonderful discussion. And I appreciate Dr. Arrington, very timely and well thought out responses also. And Brother Patrick Menzies, these guys are no strangers, it seems, to a lot of the public policy issues that we face in our country. And I think, we need more discourse like this. And this, we had a very lively discourse. You put your position, we disagreed, but we weren't disagreeable. And I think that's the way this discourse should be. Yes. Should. You did an excellent job as a moderator. You allowed everyone to get their piece, and present an education to the public, because I think oftentimes what occurs is that in these discourse you get the essence of what we try to do gets lost in also looking at it from a personal standpoint or trying to not look at the facts. And the fact is, like Dr. Arrington said eloquently, this is discriminatory and it has to be addressed. Now I've heard people say let's address it by making it no dual nationals can run. Fine. If that's the direction that Belize wants to go down and decide that they want to, go take back the clock, well, then that's on them also. But it has to be addressed, and that's all we're saying.
Thank you very much, Hubert. Well said. Thank you. Last word.
Okay, last word. Thank you, ma'am. I'd just like to remind all of us that we like to say that we are a society governed by laws, but we all know very well that laws does not necessarily have to be good for the society itself.
Yes, sir.
When we use the Hitler laws, everybody agreed that they were bad. But they were not the only group of bad laws. There are a lot of others out there.
Yes.
So we have a duty, I think, to identify these laws and try to agitate as citizens, because it's always good for the movement to come up from the citizens, you get a wide base appeal with everybody having their input. That way you're not skewed towards some little focus group. And I think sometimes you have to be very careful because focus group, they do that.
Yes.
These little people have their special interests and they come at you hard sometimes. So you have to be careful of them. Make it nice and wide, educate everybody on the issues so that when you hear them speak, you could always work out what is probably the most likely best situation. I always in my head ask when I'm thinking about one Belizean here, Belizean there, Belizean somewhere else, who really is my neighbor? Who is the Belizean who is really helping the country or who is not helping so much? And then I always say, let he without saying cast the first stone. Those are quotes that I use. I absolutely do not agree. I absolutely do not agree that any Belizean should grab onto bad laws, hold on to them, take them in their hands, and then use those to ascribe fractional citizenships on their fellow Belizeans, especially if it's based on generalizations.
Okay.
We need to work on laws that are not good and fix them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Patrick, your last word.
Well, I really believe that as the Constitution calls for the government, whereas the people of Belize believe, whereas the people of Belize believe that the will of the people shall form the basis of government in a democratic society, I believe that the will of the people is not being heard, and one of the reasons is because the people don't even know what some of the laws are. And when you look into Section B of the same preamble, you look at respect for principles of social justice and all these things. The part that I like, and I really want to get into, if I can even find it, is paragraph E. Paragraph E of the preamble talks about we require policy of state that protects, safeguard the unity, freedom, sovereignty and territorial integrity of Belize. And it talks about basically protection for the Belizeans. It doesn't say Belizeans locally. It says Belizeans. And so if a Belizean is abroad, the government should also look out for his interests. He's a Belizean. Again, the issue here is dual nationality. The dual nationality issue is skewed in the wrong way. If you would put these restrictions on the foreign-born dual national, that then become a Belizean national, give him restrictions that he cannot run, that will make sense. Because how are you going to give the meat of the table to the engrafted, the adopted child, but you refuse to feed the natural child the meat? You will give the natural child the scrap that falls on the floor, but you will give instead the adopted child the meat from the table. That makes no sense. It is completely ludicrous. And it's time to change it. I do, however, believe there must be conditions. Conditions meaning years in Belize as a resident must be conditions. If the PM wants to do it, I'm telling you, I'm on board. I'm on board. I believe we have a good campaign for this. Should be done. But not on a political point. It's not a red thing nor a blue thing. A Belizean issue.
Yep.
Period.
Correct.
Okay, we want you to be able to watch the repeat of the show if you choose to. It will be repeated tomorrow, Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on Nortevision, and on Monday at 4:30 p.m. right here on Nortevision. It's also available for your viewing on the Zenaida Moya Show YouTube channel and Facebook page. And of course, I want you to still send us your comments, your views. We have very exciting topics coming up still. Again, thanks to Zitra International, Moya Shepherd and Company Limited, and this station, Nortevision, for supporting this initiative of educating, informing, and empowering our Belizean people. Thank you to all the callers the viewers for making the show a success. Thanks for liking the page and subscribing to the YouTube channel. I want to thank the production team at Nortevision for ensuring that today's show went through. I believe that there were a bit of difficulty, I think it was said, in Belize city or district as it regards the station. I'm not sure, so hopefully that was fixed. And thank you to my little son Kelvin and Natalia for inspiring me to do this show. Until next week, Wednesday, same time, 8 p.m., God willing, have a safe and blessed week. God bless you all.